and I wanted to welcome you all to our what reason
Go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. 500 degrees. Go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. 500 degrees. Countdown, levitate. Going up, elevate. Watch me demonstrate. On time, never late. I grind, celebrate. No pump fake, hesitate. I've been scoring every day. Champagne Perrier. Since 9-3, been in the box, now stepping up to home. Like straight out the sandlot, now I'm plotting on the globe. I work hard, I show love, that karma steady growing. Got this far, I go hard, let God take control. I was starving, skinny, now my weight up, got no energy for haters. See you trying, see you later. I'm shooting for the stars, need no laser beam, blowing like the greatest, but it's one who's always greater. Go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. 500 degrees. Go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. 500 degrees. Smile good, skin clear. This here my year. Hey, look up here. This here my tier. Same fit 4 days. I grind 4 ways. I play no games. All me, no blame. On the wave, my own wave. Can't stop my shine. In the lane, my own lane. Can't stop my grind. 40 yard in the V12 and like 1.5. At 19, I cleared 19 in a month, no lie. Oh God. I was starving, skinny, now my weight up, got no energy for haters. See you trying, see you later. I'm shooting for the stars, need no laser beam, blowing like the greatest, but it's one who's always greater. Go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. 500 degrees. Go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. 500 degrees.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? What's up? You know what it is. Buffalo Bills edition of Rise Up Late Night is in the building. I am Andre the Torch Robinson. The Firestarter is in the building right now with my brother, my host, my co-host, my brother, point blank, period. We should turn up right now. Why? Because the Bills got up. My guy, Monster Joe McDowell. What's going on, Monster?
The Bills did get up, and that's exactly what we expected, Torch. We expected to win. We expected the W. We expected them to be dominant. But let me ask you this, Torch. Are you okay with how we played? Do you think we could have played better? Do you think that we could have done more? Like, the dub was good, the win was good, but I just feel as a fan and watching this team in the AFC Championship game, we should have done more. Like, do you feel, Andre, that we should have done more?
I'm going to be very honest with you. I think we should have. I think there are some points in the game that was lackadaisical with the Bills offense. Once again, I told you, every game you can find a bright spot. It's not really that bright, though. You can find a spot where Brian Dable has one of these moments or Sean McDermott has one of those lackadaisical moments in a game. If you looked at the tail of the tape, you wouldn't have thought that this game was 31-14, but nevertheless, I agree with you totally, and that's a good way to start off the show, Monster, talking about how the Bills actually played. I thought it was a really, really good game for the most part, but they did have some moments of laziness. By the way, if you are on YouTube right now, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Spotify, if you're on Twitch, if you're on Power 96.5, I'm telling you right now, support us, what we doing. Shout out to the Challenger News. Shout out to, Wuffo. Shout out to what Monster is doing and everything, making y'all Get up every week. I watched that video earlier. Phenomenal video, by the way. Keep doing your thing, bro. And yo, you are bringing the questions that need to be answered. All right. With real sports journalism, folks, we ask the real questions that need to be answered. And Monster has started one already by saying, how did you feel about the Bills, how they played today? If you feel some type of way, put it in the comment section, or in a few minutes, the call line is going to be open, 716-481-8249.
Call in. I'm not reading nothing. Call in. I'm not reading nothing. I can't read and write real good. Just call in. Let's have a discussion. Share your thoughts on this. But I know Bills Mafia as well as I know Bills Mafia. We're happy with the win, but it's just there was so much left on the field, Dre. Like, Josh Allen didn't look good. Like, it's just there's a lot, Torts. Like, what did you take away from this game?
I'm going to be honest with you. Again, Monster, I took away the fact that Josh Allen in the beginning, I'm going to tell you, I really was skeptical of Josh Allen playing in this game in the beginning. Shout out to Brian Daboll. Shout out to Sean McDermott for, trusting in their A1 day one quarterback that they paying $258 million to play. But I was kind of skeptical, going against the number 2 defense. I was skeptical about what would happen, especially with the Cupid shuffle that was going on with the offensive line today. They had to Cupid shuffle a lot of things. I don't know how much love they got out of that Cupid shuffle, but nevertheless, I mean, they left some things on the table. I'm gonna be honest.
All right, Dre. Let me bring this up to you. All right, let me get your thoughts on this, Dre. And this is the thing. When we went to the AFC Championship game and we watched Tampa Bay, and we watched Kansas City, it was one thing that the Bills needed. We got to get to a pass rusher, okay? So we took Greg Rousseau, which is fine. And then with our second pick, we took Boogie Basham, another pass rusher. When Landon Dickinson was still on the board, and he's been one of the best centers in the NFL as a rookie. Dickinson's been great as a center, as a rookie. But then we signed Addison as a free agent deal. We signed Trent Murphy to a big free agent deal. All of this is to kind of combat and rush the passer. What did we spend on our offensive line? What did we spend? Spencer Brown today, 5 penalties. We had to bring somebody off the practice squad to play on our offensive line today. Now, fine, but it's the Carolina Panthers. If we did this against a better team with more talent, how is that going to look? We've spent so much money trying to rush the passer that our offensive line is it's bare bones minimum, Dre. It's bare bones. What do you think about the offensive line and where the Bills have spent their resources?
I'm going to be honest with you. Here we go. We about to start talking about some organizational moves. Oh, here we go. Monster doing his thing again, asking one of those hard questions. This is what I'm going to tell you. Cody Ford, bust. You gotta ask yourself. The Bills did all of this, acquiring all these offensive linemen, and what have they done? John Feliciano, they got Spencer Brown. Deion Dawkins hasn't played the same since COVID. Ike Bollinger, you got a lot of these dudes that's on this roster. Don't they got like 10, 11 offensive linemen on this team at least? Come on. I thought they had a healthy rotation. I thought we was getting something fresh. I thought we were getting something original when they was making those moves. I'm not sure I'm too happy about this offensive line. First and foremost, they gave up 4 sacks today, number 1. 4. Number 2, 5 penalties on Spencer Brown today is absolutely abysmal and disrespectful to his craft. Definitely unacceptable whatsoever. And they got to get more discipline. If this team is going to be a playoff team, they need to get more discipline in the trenches. You can't be undisciplined in the trenches and expect to win games, especially big games like next week, which we will talk about shortly in the show. Like and share the show, by the way. You are watching Rise Up Late Night, the Buffalo Bills edition. All right, we ain't playing. All right, I'm telling you, in about 5-10 minutes, you could call in. We got comments on deck. I'm just gonna put them up here. Okay, I'm putting these comments up here.
We call it 10 minutes. Power 96.5. Make sure you support the show. Make sure you support the network. They're doing great things. Power 96.5 is where it's at. You guys already know it. But again, like me and Torch are talking about, all these assets that we sunk into the defensive line, when are they going to show up? Because the offensive line is struggling. All right. Like I said, defensive line, Harrison Phillips, buddy of mine. It's just there's moves to be made that aren't being made. When are these guys going to show up? When are we going to look at McDermott and Brandon Beane and say, hey, you've had a ton of assets sunk into the defensive line, and we still haven't found that guy yet. We still haven't found that guy yet, but you've sunk a ton of offensive assets into that, draft assets. You looked at Wyatt Teller and said, we can trade him. Now Wyatt Teller is one of the best offensive linemen in football. Like, who was evaluating that talent that said we could trade Wyatt Teller and be okay? And now here we are, 3 weeks away from the playoffs, and we're escalating people from the practice squad because we spent so many assets and so much money in a defensive line to get a pass rush to stop Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady that we're still not getting.
Yeah, you make a great point, Monster. Speaking about this offensive line, you are making tons of points, dropping jewels. I call them dimes. You dropping dimes right now. Even in the victory, you can see that there's some things to take away from this game. One of them is there needs to be some continuity on this offensive line. But I will say this, Monster, in rebut to what you're asking, the run game did get going today. Did they run the ball? Were you okay with the run game today?
Yeah, but was this Tennessee? Was this New England? No, it wasn't. It was shitty Carolina. That was it. Like, we ran against a bad team. We were able to gain offense in yards in the run game against a bad team. Against the top flight teams that we need to compete against for the playoffs and for a championship, we're not going to get those. You understand what I'm saying? We're not going to get those. It was a bad team. Like, Cam Newton is not a good NFL player. I'm sorry. If you're a Panthers fan right now and you watch that game with Cam Newton, you're not happy. Okay? I know a lot of Carolina fans. Okay? Panthers fans, Panthers Nation, you're a great fan base. I love you guys. I know a lot of personal friends that rep the Carolina Panthers, and so be it. Like, I represent Buffalo. But the fact that Cam Newton came back, they're not happy with that. They were happy to see him leave the first time. So you bring Cam Newton back to a fan base that didn't want him the first time. And you see what he's putting forward. Now, okay, Cam played okay. All right, with the team he's got, Cam played okay. But for Panthers Nation, you guys already know bringing Cam back was a bad move. You didn't want him in the first place. He didn't produce. And in this game, except for the Bills turnover, Josh's interception, Cam really didn't produce. Like, what are you guys looking forward to in the future? You got Cam Newton and Sam Darnold. What are you looking forward to?
Well, I will tell you, if you were just listening to the show, and speaking of listening to the show, we bringing in the alpha right now. The alpha, Marcus, the alphabets is in the house. What's up, Marcus?
What's going on? I see the monster man over there, man.
What's up, Marcus? How you feeling, man?
Making moves, man. I see you, man. I see you. I be following you all over the place, man. How's everybody doing, man? I hope everybody's doing all right, man.
Now, listen, we good, man. Marcus, it's good to have you on. I just want to say that if you were listening earlier, Sheena, shout out to Sheena, who's been covering the Carolina Panthers for 6 years. She actually came on the show earlier and said that they are thinking about 86ing Sam Darnold. They're thinking about 86ing Cam Newton and Matt Rule, all three of them. So I'm gonna be honest with you. They don't want. Listen, the guy who was seeing first of all, the guy who was seeing ghosts. Carolina looks like they're about to ghost his contract. Cam Newton was only signed for a 1-year deal, so I mean, and they don't look like they want to bring him back. So Carolina's got some issues to talk about when it comes to the quarterback position. But nevertheless, the Buffalo Bills get a 31-14 victory over this Carolina Panthers team. We can break down Josh Allen's performance. Marcus, let me ask you, you just coming on too. How do you feel about this game? Do you think what did you take from it?
Carolina's a team that's reeling. I think they're just what the doctor ordered for Buffalo. Me personally, and hindsight's always 2020. I wouldn't have played Josh Allen. I really wouldn't have. I would have sat him. Look, people be trying to win a battle, but I be trying to win the war. You know what I'm saying? Why would you go out and go get Mitchell Trubisky, who's I'm not saying he's Josh Allen. He's built kind of like Josh Allen. He's mobile like Josh Allen, and he got away from Matt Nagy. Why would you bring him in and risk Josh Allen? Josh Allen, without his mobility, he was kind of hobbled. You're putting him out there. You have bigger goals than just beating the Carolina Panthers, in my opinion. Today, I would have started Mitchell Trubisky, and I would have had Josh Allen sit for a whole week to get ready for the New England game. But that's neither here nor there. You won the game, but I'm not putting my franchise quarterback, who's the second highest paid player in the NFL, in harm's way to beat the Carolina Panthers. I'm just not doing it.
You're wrong.
No?
You're wrong. That's exactly why you put him in that position. Because we paid you $250,000. You got to produce results. I don't want Mitch Trubisky in there when we're fighting for a playoff spot and Josh Allen sitting on the sideline with a hurt toe. No, Marcus Betts. We paid you $258 million. You know what that means? Buck up, get in there, get in the lineup, and get the Bills this dub. Did Josh play well? No. I thought Josh played like garbage. There was plenty of open hits. He had a couple of seaming routes across the middle to Beasley that he missed. There was a couple. He made great passes. Not taking nothing away from Josh. There was great passes, but I expected more against a defense like Carolina and a team like Carolina. I simply expected more. Did we get a big win? Yeah. Is it cool? Yeah. But I expected more. Now to flip it back on Josh, there was plenty of opportunities that Josh missed. There's plenty of opportunities that Josh threw that were dropped or were in bad spots. Okay, the third down to Tommy Sweeney was ridiculous. That was Sweeney's fault. What have you? That would have extended that drive. But the fact that they let Cam Newton stay in this game is absolutely ridiculous to me. It's utterly ridiculous. They had a great game. They played a good game, but it should. I expected more, Marcus. You know what I'm saying? From a team with the expectations that the Bills have against a team that Carolina's been, I simply expected more. I'll take the victory. I'm happy, but going into the playoffs, I expected more.
Well, the reason I say that, look, again, would you rather win against the Carolina Panthers and then Josh Allen tweak something and then he's out for multiple weeks? You understand what I'm saying? Like I don't, and maybe it's hard to win in the NFL, but I'm not risking my franchise quarterback against the Carolina Panthers, and I got a big game and he tweaked something in this game, and we got to see New England next week, who's amped up, who's going to be fired up. They just lost, so I mean, you're fighting for that. You know, you're still in a division race, and then he goes out there, and again, hindsight's always 2020. But you got bigger fish to fry. And I'm not putting him out there because part of his game is his mobility. It's the reason why the Baltimore Ravens didn't put Lamar Jackson out there today, because without his mobility, Josh Allen is not the quarterback he is without his mobility. And if he's hobbled and he can't move like he normally moves, you're kind of putting him in harm's way.
So, thank you again.
I agree. And I've said it 1,000 times. The more you run Josh Allen and the more you put him in the position, it's numbers. He's going to eventually get hurt. He's going to eventually take something he can't recover from. You can't fight Father Time. You can't fight numbers. The more you run Josh Allen or put him in the position to get hurt, it's going to happen. I absolutely agree with you.
But I'm not even talking about the design runs. I'm talking about Josh Allen. He's a scrambler. That's what he does. When the play breaks down, he starts playing street ball. He plays backyard football when the play breaks down. When, something's not open, he takes off and run. That's just what he does. He played high school ball like that. He played at Wyoming like that. He's played with the Bills like that. I'm not even talking about the design stuff that Daboll's doing. I'm talking about that's just his style of play is is his mobility, and you're putting him out there at 0.75%, at 75%, where he's in jeopardy, and you have a fresh body, and you go out and go get the quarterback who's the backup, who was the number 2 pick in the draft, and you sit him. That makes no damn sense. Why did you bring him in here for then? You know what I'm saying?
Marcus, I'm gonna tell you, I agree with you. I was one of those guys. We had this conversation. I told you, organizational moves. What was the point of bringing Mitchell Trubisky in?
You got to look at the big picture, man. You got to look at the big picture. Oh, I want to beat Carolina. Okay, at what cost? At what cost? You put him out there, and then he's generally, when you have a lower leg extremity, you have to compensate. If one of your legs is messed up, your other leg has to pick up the slack for it. So now you multiply.
But if we said Josh and Mitch Trubisky goes out
Somebody's got an echo.
into my mind.
No, it's no echo. Go ahead.
No, I said if Mitch Trubisky goes out there and lays an egg because we want to protect Josh and as close as this playoff race is, that doesn't help us either, Marcus. You know what I'm saying?
But what did you bring him in here for then? He was the number 2 pick. I can see if it's like some scrub. Mitchell Trubisky, let's not forget, he was the number 2 pick in the draft. That's what you brought him into. I believe a backup needs to have the same type of skill set that your starter has.
Okay, so if Dallas was in the same spot, fighting for a playoff spot or for position, would you sit Dax and start their backup as opposed to Josh? And
Cooper Rush is not the number 2 pick in the draft.
That's not what I'm saying.
And they did sit Dak. They sat him. They said when he had his calf strain, they sat him because part of Dak Prescott's game is mobility, and that's when Cooper Rush came in and the Viking game, and Cooper Rush won that game. You're not put Dak. Josh Allen's the number 2 paid player in the league. Dak Prescott's the number 3 paid player in the league. If he's and both of their game is based off of mobility. You put him out there and he can't move like he normally moves and get out of trouble, you're putting him in harm's way. That's all that I'm saying.
But in a playoff push, do you sit Dax because of it?
If I'm looking big picture.
No, in a playoff push right now.
I'm looking big. Right now, okay, I'm going to give you an example. Right now, the Seattle Seahawks are in a playoff push. Right now, if they lose another game, I'm not leaving Russell Wilson out there where he tears something trying to bring us back, and now he tears the ACL. He's out for the year, and his injury goes into next year. If Josh Allen gets hurt right now and he tears the ACL, knock on wood, I'm not wishing that on anybody. Okay, but he goes out there and he gets hurt and tears his ACL because he's running and somebody lands on him because he can't move and get out of harm's way, and he tears his ACL. That's a year injury. That means you're going into next season with Josh Allen on the IR. Is that what you want? You got to look at the big picture. He's 25. How long is his contract for? How long is his contract for?
No, I'm looking at the big picture. I'm just saying to you,
you wanted the Carolina win, but you're not looking at.
No, I'm saying to you, if you're the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys and you're in the same position as the Buffalo Bills were this week, you have a weak opponent. You can start Mitch Trubisky.
That's exactly why I'm starting Mitchell Trubisky.
But you don't. If you're the Cowboys, do you sit Dax and start your backup when you're trying to get this playoff push?
Again, I'm sitting. Hindsight is 2020. I'm saying hindsight is 2020. You got the win. I'm looking at the bigger picture. I want Josh Allen for the Patriots next week. I don't give a damn about
my question. If it comes down to Dax or his backup for a playoff push, do you take Dax? You said start Mitch Trubisky. I'm saying don't start Mitch Trubisky. You're in a spot for a playoff push. You run your best soldiers. Now, if the Cowboys are in the same situation, do you start Dax if he's not 100% like Josh?
Okay, I am not putting my second highest paid player in the league who depends on his mobility in harm's way and he can't run and defend himself. Much
That's
like
right.
the Baltimore
That's right.
Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens are in playoff contention, aren't they? They're in playoff. They're 8-6. And what did they do with Lamar Jackson? They said, "Sit your ass down. He's a runner." Josh Allen's
You're not answering my question from Dallas.
I am not putting the third highest paid player in the league, not quarterback, the third highest paid player in the league in harm's way. And part of his game is based off of mobility, and he can't move like the way he normally does. He tears his ACL, and now he's gone for a year. I'm not.
So what you're saying
All right, guys.
is you put the price of the quarterback ahead the price of the team. Like, you still haven't answered the question.
If I don't have my quarterback,
Dak or the backup.
if I don't have my quarterback, my star quarterback, I don't have a team. We're looking at all the teams that suck. Look at all the teams that are picking in the lottery pick. What is the one? Hang on. Let me ask you this, Monster. What is the one common denominator of all the teams that suck and are picking in the top 5 nearly every year? What is the one common denominator? What's the one thing, the one problem that they all have? Tell me.
All of them. Offensive line, defensive
No,
line.
all of them don't have a quarterback. All of them don't have a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback. Y'all just played a team today that they're probably going to have to go in the draft and draft a quarterback. The Jets, how many times have they picked a quarterback with a number 1 or number 2 pick? They just picked Zach Wilson last year.
But why are we on the Jets, Marcus? My simple question is this.
Because I'm using the same. I'm using.
You said if Josh is not feeling healthy, start Mitch Trubisky. And I'm saying
not feeling healthy.
If
Not
you're
feeling healthy. Not feeling healthy is he's got a cold. He has.
But if you're chasing a playoff spot like we are, why would you sit Dak Prescott?
He has a broken foot and he can't move. That's why. Did you see all those ducks that he look? Let's just keep it a buck, okay? Normally, Josh Allen's not that accurate, anyways. And now you're going to come to go out there, and now you're going to.
Josh isn't accurate, and your quarterback is Dax. Are you kidding me?
Josh Allen, until last season, had not thrown for over 60%. He just started. Now, listen, I'm not bashing Josh Allen. I want to make that. I'm trying to break it down for you. Josh Allen, the thing that makes Lamar Jackson so dangerous? What makes him dangerous?
His defense.
Mobility.
He's mobile, right? His mobile. What makes Aaron Rodgers deadly?
The fact that he's deadly. I'm gonna tell you. I can answer that. Mobility and the fact that he's deadly accurate.
But the main thing is he's not Tom Brady that just sits in the pocket. That's what makes Josh Allen. That's why he was a MVP candidate, came up number 2 in the MVP candidacy last year. It's because he not only has a cannon attached to his shoulder, but he's also mobile. When he has a broken foot nearly, and he's walking in a boot at the end of the game last week, and you're saying, hey, go back out there again with your nearly broken foot. We're going to throw you in harm's way where you can't defend yourself. I'm not doing that. I'm looking at the.
All right, Marcus, hold on. Let me say this. Timothy Lewis Jr. Hold on, Monster. Let me say this. Timothy Lewis Jr. said Josh should have sat today, especially with the trash offensive line that they had. But here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to play devil's advocate. I see both sides of the spectrum. One, you got a playoff push coming up. You got to play your best player, right? You're paying them all this money. The other side is if you get him hurt, you're not only sacrificing this season, but you also could be sacrificing next season with the type of injury that he had. I totally see both sides of the spectrum. Let's be clear. What happens if for ACL? That's this season, and then you don't come back for 9 months at least on an ACL injury.
We ain't talking about that, Dre. We're talking about right now. If you a scared motherfucker, go to church.
I know.
That's it. With the best players on the field.
Okay, you say that, and if he goes out there and does it, you're gonna get you know what Bills Mafia is gonna say? If he went out there and tore his ACL today, you know what they would have said? what would have been the what they call the Monday morning quarterback? You know what it would have been on all of the talk shows tomorrow if Josh Allen would have went out there and tore his ACL today? What the hell did you? Why the hell did y'all have Josh Allen out there and he's 50% out there against a ferocious pass rush? That's what would have been said. Again,
It's not ferocious.
Well, they got 4 sacks today, so it's something. They got 4 sacks on him.
If I go head to head with somebody and they're ferocious and they knock me out, it is what it is. You were better than me on that day at that particular time. But to give the Carolina Panthers the respect we're giving them is just it's pathetic. Carolina's a garbage team.
they are.
Okay?
They are.
We
I agree.
We beat them then. But the fact that we tried to establish a run game with Singletary, it's a joke. That's not going to work from week to week. It's not going to work against teams like Tennessee. It's not going to work like teams against Tampa Bay. Like, our run game is a joke. Like, Like,
Well, y'all were talking about some of the moves that were made, and I said this. You know, we did draft shows, and I talked about this. And once again, hindsight's always 20/20. I would not have drafted. I didn't think you needed Gregory Rousseau. Shout out to Gregory Rousseau. I interviewed him during the Miami Pro Day.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Him and Quincy Roche. I interviewed both of them. I thought that I'm going to say I said this, and me and Dre, we've had discussions about this. I believe that the Buffalo Bills are an elite running back away from being a real problem. An elite running back. I would have done everything I could to move up to draft Najee Harris. Shout out to my co-host Ramona Diehard. When I said that, she cussed me out and didn't speak to me for a week. But that's what I said. I said Buffalo should move up. I think y'all were at 20. What were y'all? 20, late 20s, right? I would have. If I couldn't have got my hands on him, I would have went and got Javonte Williams out of North Carolina, the running back from Denver Broncos.
The Bills was 30.
We were two.
Remember, they were the AFC runner-up. The Bills was at number 30.
And I think also
actually it was at 29. Green Bay was at 30. Sorry.
Yeah, I think y'all were at 28, 29, somewhere like. But Javonte Williams didn't go to the second round. You move back into the early second round and you get Javonte Williams. Again, hindsight 20/20. But you now have to start looking at some of these players that they thought so much of. Maybe we were mistaken about them. I really thought Zach Moss would be that sledgehammer. This guy's
Devin Singletary, Cody Ford. Like the list is ridiculous. That we're so in love with success that we're not willing to look at the moves that this defense, this team has made. Like I said, we invested so much money in the defensive line with the contracts we gave to Addison and Trent Murphy. And you know what I'm saying? We drafted Gregory Rousseau first overall. Fine. I'm okay with that. But we could have got Landon Dickinson as a center, but we didn't. He was still on the board when we drafted another pass rusher in Boogie Basham. Like, where are your priorities? Do you know how to evaluate talent? Like, you let Wyatt Teller go, and now he's one of the best linemen in the league, and you didn't get jack for him. Like, you're good at picking offensive skill positions. But when it comes to the offensive defensive line, what have you actually
are they though? Because I heard something the other day, and when I thought about it and I broke it down, what's up, Rocco?
Hey, how's it going?
Somebody said this the other day, and I totally agree with it. I want to know what y'all's thoughts are. They said the Buffalo Bills are a cold weather team with a dome roster.
Yeah,
100%. That's probably the most accurate thing. That's probably.
And so when you say they know how to pick skill position, no, they really don't. You have a undersized running back in Devin Singletary, who I've never been sold on. You can ask the Torch on that. I've said for years I was never sold on Devin Singletary. He's a Jag and not a Jacksonville Jag.
Hey, let me say this. This is my University of Utah bias kicking in. By the way, my name is Rocco Rakelli from the Sports Angle. I'm gonna do a cheap plug there. But Zach Moss, coming from University of Utah, I know his talent and I know what he's capable of. The problem with Zach Moss is that he has no offensive line at all. That the Buffalo Bills, they don't have that meat wall that can move and get him some open running lanes.
He led the
If they
Pac-12
did-
in rushing. He led. I mean,
They spent so
look,
much money on the defensive line.
So I'm saying it's from Zach Moss, 'cause I saw him in the Pac-12. I saw him at University of Utah. I know he can be a good running back. Not great, but he can be a good running back in the NFL.
and I'm going to say this too, and this even goes from my team, and I say this all the time: when you spend $40+ million on your quarterback has got to be Patrick Mahomes. He's got to be Aaron Rodgers. He has to be Tom Brady. Because when you put those type of resources into your quarterback, he cannot just be a guy. He's got to be the type of person who's able to make everyone around him better. And again, that's the going rate for starting quarterbacks now. But I think these GMs really have to look at that when they're paying quarterbacks, because it's like, is this the guy that I want to give this much money to? Because if I give this quarterback this money, I can't get that offensive lineman. I can't get that wide receiver. I can't get that second corner.
You know
what?
Marcus, you just said something. You just said something. It was a nail on the head. Offensive line, that meat wall. Those 500-pound offensive linemen that are going to protect your quarterback. That offensive line, those 400-pounders that running back is going to give, PlayStation 5s on Christmas if they help him out. Understand that when it comes to the running game, when it comes to the passing game, if you do not have an offensive line, and I've said this on my show, Sports Angle, multiple times, and I'll say it here on this show again. If you do not have an offensive line, you will not win a Super Bowl. Okay, if you do not have people to protect your quarterback, you will lose in the playoffs. So you can have a $40 million quarterback, and that's fine and dandy. But if you do not have 5 good offensive linemen in front of him,
it's really look. You're not going to have. Rarely does anybody have 5 awesome offensive line. But I believe that you have to spend resources on your offensive line, and to me, the thing that makes teams successful, if you look at the couple of the common denominators for the really successful teams, here's what they have: a running game, i.e., the Indianapolis Colts, Tennessee Titans, and a good defense, and they don't turn over the ball. So when you look at those things there, you have to look, okay, does my team do that? Do we have a good running game? Can we stop the run? Do we turn over the ball? And those are the common denominator. Those are the things that I see with the teams that have success. You see the team right now, one of the hottest teams in the NFL is probably the Indianapolis Colts. And that's what we're going to give the ball to Jonathan Taylor 25 to 30 times, and we're going to run the ball down your throat, and there's nothing you can do about it. And the thing with a running game is it travels in the playoffs. It travels. You can take it anywhere on the road. Tennessee, when they have a healthy Derrick Henry, that's what we know you're going to get the ball to Derrick Henry. There's nothing you can do about it. So, that's neither here nor there. Those are like off-season issues that have to be addressed. But you look at certain things. It's always good to get the win. They got the win today, and it's on to New England next week for the rematch in Foxborough.
And that's exactly what it is. It's what it's been from the NFL. You got to pound the ball. You got to run the ball. Like I said, we spent so much money on the defensive line and trying to get after Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady for the playoffs. We ignored our offensive line. The fact that we had to escalate somebody from the practice squad to play on our offensive line today, this deep in the season, is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. The fact that we had to do that. Like I said, we got Russo. We got Ed Oliver. We got Boogie Basham. We signed Trent Murphy. We signed Mario Addison. All these big money deals to get after the pass rusher. And it hasn't worked out. Like, when are we going to hold the
AJ Klein
accountability?
But part of that too is I put some of that on the offense is because teams that generally have a lead at the end of the game, what's the one common thing that they do at the end of the game when they have a lead? They run the ball. Y'all can't do that. Y'all are still out there throwing the ball at the end of the game, and that's instead of closing it out. And then also when you have that lead like that, when you have a lead, you're able to unleash your pass rushers because the other team is behind, so they're trying to throw the ball, and that's whenever your pass rushers come into effect. So, the games that you've lost has been pretty much the same thing. The other team running the ball, and you're playing catch up at the end of the game. The Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, James Robinson, and then turning over the ball, the offensive line issues, the Josh Allen on Josh Allen crime with Jacksonville. That's what those are things that they've got to be addressed in the offseason, definitely, and hopefully they're able to patch it up, for a playoff run in the end of going towards the end of the season.
My only thing with that, Marcus, is this regime able to pick those people out? Can you find the talent? Like I said, they traded Wyatt Teller away. They just pissed him away. He turned into one of the best offensive linemen in the league. Like, are you able, with the regime we have, to define the talent that we need and to put these people in place? Like, are you able to go out and get the draft picks that we need to make this team better? How far is your knowledge of the draft picks we have? Like I said, they spent a shitload of money to enhance our defensive line, our pass rush, to be able to get up to the quarterback, and it's still not there. It's still not there. We're weak on the offensive line now. We still can't stop it. It starts and stops in the trenches, offensive line, defensive line. It's just, I'm not sold yet. Rocco, what do you think?
Well, I'm actually going to answer your question by actually proposing another question. When it comes to this team, when it comes to the executives, when it comes to the regime that they're in right now, if the Bills somehow miss the playoffs, right now there are 6 teams that are 8-6. As of right now, there are 6 teams that have a record of 8 wins and 6 losses. If the Buffalo Bills manage to miss the playoffs, does this regime have to be shaken up in order to make change? In other words, do members of the executives, do people in the front office, do people in the coaching staff, people in the scouting department, does their changes need to be made in the Buffalo Bills organization for them to get better? Because they spent all that money, like you said, on the defense, and they spent all that money on Josh Allen at the quarterback position. But if they miss the playoffs, obviously there would be something they need to do to get back into the playoffs. So that would really be what my question would be to answer your question, is if the executives, if they miss the playoffs this year out there in Buffalo, do they have the heads roll executive-wise?
I got an easy answer for that by posing the question. Ready? At week 16, did you see the Bills with 6 losses?
No.
You said no. You said no. Marcus, did you see the Bills with 6 losses by week 16?
I didn't think that they would. I didn't think that they would have the same type of record that they had last year.
Right, but did you think 6 losses? That's the question.
My prediction for them and when we did the preseason, I said 10-7. That was the prediction that I gave. So I'm somewhere around.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would say yes. All right.
Yeah,
so that's 75% of us right here on the panel that wouldn't have saw them at 6 losses, right? Now let me ask you this question. Now, if they miss the playoffs, do they? Should they? I mean, come on. Just by how you just responded, should the Bills be looking to? Yes, absolutely they should.
Well, I don't get. See, y'all keep saying you have talent, but you don't have the talent that you need for where you play.
I totally. Hey, Marcus, listen. I totally get what you're saying. I totally get it. You saying that they need the bruising talent to go out and play snow, winter weather.
Why are you bringing in a Matt Breida? Matt Breida's 190 pounds. That's not what you need.
Remember, Marcus, I was the same. Hold on, Marcus. I was the same person with the Patriots game that said that this game did not favor Buffalo because of the weather, right? Yet we're a winter weather team, right? I said this person, right?
You play in this. I'm just like, why would you? All of the running backs out there, to me, you know, when the Ravens had their rash of injuries at the running back position, they went and got all these running backs. Why wouldn't Buffalo go and get a Latavius Murray, a Mark Ingram, a guy like that? You don't need Matt Breida, dude. You need like a bruising, mauling type back, and you go, and your answer is to go get Matt Breida. That's
organizational moves, Marcus. We talked about organizational moves. I kind of wanted to state a little bit on what Monster was saying earlier. So I'm gonna throw out a couple names, and you tell me how you feel about them. Ready? Cody Ford.
He's a jag. He's just a guy.
That's a start, right? Hold on. Spencer Brown.
Average at best.
Spencer Brown today, who had 5 penalties on the offensive line. AJ Epinesa.
Average.
Ed Oliver. Gregory Rousseau. Boogie Basham. Do I need to continue? Tremont Edmonds, who's been questioned lately. Do I need to? These are moves that the Buffalo Bills made, though, right? So, y'all, when you talk about organizational moves, those are pieces that you need to look at, and then look at the pieces that you missed on. I mean, you mentioned somebody earlier, the running back Jamonte Williams. That's what you said, right?
Jamonte Williams in the draft. Yeah. He was a second-round pick. I'm like, right. he go get it.
So my answer to that question is, Rocco, yes, absolutely. If the Bills don't make the playoffs, some heads should roll for sure.
Well, I think the first one that they're going to go after is, you know, it's probably going to be the OC. I think Dable will probably be the first one. He's public enemy number. He'll be the first one to go.
That's wrong if they do.
Brian Dabble, he needs to go.
No, that's wrong.
He's got to go. I
mean, well, Monster, speak on it, Monster. Speak on it.
Listen, Rocco and Alphabets, there's one guy who decides what plays are called. That guy is Sean McDermott. Brian Dable has said repeatedly he has tried to open up this playbook, and he hasn't been able to. Brian Dable's not the problem. As much as we love Sean McDermott, and he's the alpha, and he's fucking saved our franchise, and this and that, there's one guy that gets to decide what's called, and that's him. I can't put it on Dable if Sean McDermott is the guy who tells him you can't call this or you can call this. So that's the point of contention. Who is really at fault here, Rocco? Is it Brian Dable or is it Sean McDermott? Who is underlining what this offense does as a unit and what plays are called?
Well, for anybody who's ever listened to my show, you know I think that Sean McDermott is one of the most overrated coaches in all the NFL. I mean, when it comes to Sean McDermott, I don't ever think that he's a top 5 coach. To me, when it comes to Buffalo, when it comes to the organization, I mean, he's a good coach, but I've never thought he was great. I don't think he's exceptional. So when it comes to Sean McDermott, hey, if he's the one making the offensive plays, then you know what? The blame is 100% on him. So Sean McDermott, who knows? Maybe next year, if they miss the playoffs second year in a row, maybe they'll get rid of him. So,
well, I'm just like everybody. For me, everybody just rants and raves about Brandon Beane, and I'm like, you're the general manager. You're the one who brings these guys in here. You know, you're the one who went and brought in Matt Breida. You're the one who went in and then I look at some of the free agents out there, and I'm like, you have a little bit of money. Why wouldn't you go get a guy like that? You're the one who went and brought in Josh Norman last year.
Oh, Marcus, I didn't even. You know what's funny? I didn't even mention that they brung in Vernon Butler, Quentin Jefferson. Oh, I didn't even mention them. I didn't even mention Mario Addison, who's been. I didn't even mention them.
A lot of money to rush the passer.
Right, and this week I think is the first week they have 4 sacks. Like in 10 weeks. Go to the matter of fact, for those who watching right now, tell me the last time the Bills had 4 sacks in a game. Go back and look. Matter of fact, Mookie Hawkins will be on here any minute now, because I just sent them the link too. Go back and tell me when the last time the Bills had 4 sacks in a game, besides today. I mean, these are organizational moves. Right.
You know,
and these are – go ahead, Rocky.
I'll say this, Marcus, when it came to Brandon Beane, because last year he got Executive of the Year, they gave him that nice contract extension. They gave him that extension until 2025. So regardless if you like it or not, Brandon Beane's going to stay around for the next couple of years because they gave him that nice contract extension.
Well, yeah, I mean, he probably bought himself a little bit of time, being the executive of the year last year. So he probably, but I'm just saying, I'm looking at some of the moves that were made, and I'm like, dude, that's a GM move there. So the bottom line is, you have a young quarterback, and you need to surround him with as much talent as possible. That's the main thing, and you protect him and don't make him play when he's leaving out of a walking boot and come back the next week and go out there and play.
That's what it is, though. That's what it is. That's protect him. Protect him. Bring the people in that can protect him. The fact that we've brought people in that it's ridiculous. Like I said before, like I'm questioning this regime. Like I'm not married to McDermott. I'm not married to Brandon Beane. Like I seen some of the moves that Beane has made, and you go down the line, and it's just like that's a brick move. That's not a good move. Like I said earlier, Landon Dickinson is one of the best centers in the league. We decided in the second round to take Boogie Basham because we needed more pass rush so we could beat Kansas City or we could beat Tampa Bay. That's not what we needed. That's not what we needed, and they took him anyway. So I look at this regime. Like I said, everybody's in love with Bills Mafia and Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott. It's like, I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I don't care. I want my team to win. I want my team to get a ring. Like, I don't care if it's McDermott. I don't care if it's Beane. I don't care whoever it is. I'm a Bills fan. I want us to get that ring. So whoever's in charge of making these decisions that have fallen short, I want them to be held accountable, and I want us to go forward.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to say a positive real quick. At least you're not the Arizona Cardinals. They've had the longest streak of all time of never having a Super Bowl ring. I mean, heck, they were the Chicago Cardinals at one point, and they still have.
They lost to Detroit. That's so awesome. They got shit on by Detroit. That's so awesome. The Lions. Let's go, Detroit.
I'm a Bears fan, and I approve that message.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. It was a lot of great games today, but I was really interested in the Bills game. I really wanted to see how. I said that this was a get back game on my show on Friday. I was looking forward to it. I picked the Bills to win. I think I was pretty close on the score too. But it stopped the bleeding. I believe y'all had 2 consecutive losses, right? It was 2 consecutive losses. I think 3 out of 4, right? 3 out of 4 lost back 3 out of 4. So it's hard to win in the NFL, and to get back on the on the W side and regroup and get ready for New England. So it's always good to win. Winning cures everything, man.
I want to ask a question real quick. And it involves the formula that you've seen lately with the Buffalo Bills. Is this the formula that they should take into New England, or should Stephon Diggs be getting more targets?
No, play what you've been playing. Don't hold back because of New England. Like, don't be scared of Mac Jones. Go out and throw the ball. If it's not 60-mile-an-hour winds, go out and throw the ball. Go out and do what you got to do. All right? I've said it since the beginning of the season. Devin Singletary, he's not a speed back. He's not a power back. So what the hell is he? He's just a back, and that's what he's proved to be. You have to go out and you have to attack those people. Use the weapons you have. You brought Diggs in for a reason, okay? Emmanuel Sanders hasn't been playing, but Gabe Davis has stepped up. All right, let's be honest. This isn't the worst team Josh Allen's ever going to have to lead, okay? Josh Allen's going to be here for a long time. He signed a big money deal. This is not the worst team he's going to have to win with. So if you can't win with this team, what team are you going to win with? All right? Like, go out there and put it on the line and just go for it. This is what we're here for. Like I said, 7-6 is despicable. It's disgusting that we're in the spot, all right? If we don't fall anything short than a Super Bowl appearance, we failed. We failed this year. If we don't go to the Super Bowl and at least compete, we fail. There's no other way around it. There's no GM talk. There's no coach talk. There's no excuses. There's no excuses. You have the talent. Go out there, make the plays, and be the coach that you need to be and get this dub. Like, I'm tired of this shit. Sorry. I didn't mean to cuss.
I think that they have to spread the ball around more. I think in the offseason, opposing defensive coordinators, they've made a concerted effort to make sure that Stefon Diggs had a phenomenal season last year. And here, there's it's good to have a good season, but you have to understand when you have a great season, people study tape. And a lot of your success last year was based off of Stefon Diggs and his 1,500 yards. And teams are saying, we are not going to let Stefon Diggs kill us. We're not.
Better than CeeDee Lamb, though.
He is. But your wide receiver core is not. And that was what the argument was. But
we're gonna fight that at the end of the year, Marcus. We're gonna fight with the I don't have a beef with Marcus. I didn't have a beef with Marcus the whole year. The Bills receiving core versus the Cowboys receiving core. And I won't bullshit. All right. I've had CeeDee Lamb on my fantasy. I've had Diggs on my fantasy, and it's gone back and forth. So with all due respect and all fun poke towards Marcus, I'm still going to go with the Bills receivers at the end of the year are better than the Dallas receivers.
Okay, well, we'll see about that. But the bottom, you have a all-world wide receiver in Stefon Diggs. Emmanuel Sanders, he's a guy. Emmanuel Sanders is a guy. Gabe Davis, he's emerging, but he's not. I don't think he's there yet. And what teams are doing is because you all have not shown the ability to run the ball effectively, what teams are saying is we're not going to let you kill us with Stefon Diggs. So that's what they try to take Stefon Diggs out the game. So there has to be another guy, and I think it can be Gabe Davis that has to emerge on the other side as a secondary threat, because these teams they're saying we're not letting Diggs. We're not going to let Diggs have 1,500 yards and just do whatever he wants to do. So he's getting that elite wide receiver treatment like he should, because he is an elite wide receiver. I've called him a dog. I've called him, he's a phenomenal wide receiver, but he's not having the same type of success that he was last year. I think he was at 1,300 yards this time last year. I think he's barely over 1,000 right now. So he's not having the same type of success. So somebody on the other side of Stefon Diggs has to step it up. And I think it can be Gabe Davis.
I mean, when it comes to the Buffalo Bills organization, well, first off, this matchup, I need to know, is it going to be J.C. Jackson on Stefon Diggs, or is it going to be Diggs on Mills and then Gabe Davis on J.C. Jackson?
When they played 2 weeks ago, J.C. Jackson was following Diggs everywhere. Now I think it's going to be the narrative is definitely going to be it's going to change because of the weather. I think the weather had a lot to do with the outcome of that game. You saw some throws that were just there. I mean, the wind just swatted it out the air. So you know. When you have an elite talent like Stefon Diggs, you're going to take those shots. So it's going to be a chess match. It's definitely going to be a chess match. But to me, that wasn't the determining factor in the game. The determining factor in the last time that they played was Buffalo could not stop their run. They could not stop their run. Damian Harris ran. He left the game in the third quarter. He had like 115 yards in 3 quarters, and he pulled up on that one where he was about to be gone on that one. He pulled up and ran out of bounds.
Marcus, the scoring started with Damian Harris' 64-yard touchdown run. I mean, just what started.
Now he didn't play today. Damian Harris didn't play yesterday. Because they were saving him and not putting him in harm's way, getting him ready to play against the Bills again. we're not going to put our star running back out there. And yes, they lost, but they're still in the mix. But when you have players that rely on speed and mobility and they can't move, you don't put them out there. That's why the Patriots did not play Damian Harris yesterday. So,
that's another
example.
So let me ask you something, Marcus.
Yes.
Going into next week, if you think the Patriots have the same game plan against the Bills, how successful do you think it will be?
To me, it depends on how healthy Damian Harris is. Again, Josh Allen had some success throwing the ball in New England in that game, and with terrible conditions. So that's why I was so against him playing today. I was like, give him an extra week of rest so he's closer to 100%, because New England's defense is really good. Now they didn't, I heard I was in some chat rooms yesterday. Like, oh, look at what Indy did. Yes, because Indy has an elite running game. They do that to everybody. It's just like Derrick Henry with the Titans. When you have an elite running game, it changes things, and it changes they made Carson Wentz look like a decent quarterback yesterday, because what's happening is they're loading the box to stop the run, and he's having his receivers one-on-one before Michael Pittman punched somebody in the face. They're having, they're having success because they have a running game, and their receivers aren't getting double and triple teamed like the way Stephon Diggs does. So, they're going to have to mix it up next week because you don't have an elite run game. So you're going to have to mix it up. And I want to see Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox become factors in that game. They got to be factors in that game.
Agreed.
Then to answer Andre's question originally,
get the Collins, bang the line. Let's get the Collins going. Let's get some. Let's get some talk going.
Yeah, of course.
We got Marcus Betts, Alphabets. We got Rico here. Let's go.
I will say this to answer Andre's original question. Red zone efficiency is really what the Bills need to focus on against New England. They really need to make sure that when they're in the red zone, they get in there, more than 50%. So
they need to stop the Patriots more than we stopped them before. Like, if you know that's what they're gonna do, then stop them. Like, this is your team. This is the team you drafted. This is the team that you scouted. This is the team that you signed. This is the team that you put together. If it's going to be just run, we should be able to stop it. The fact that New England ran it down our throats the first game and we couldn't do stuff, it was just ridiculous. Like, I sat there like, well, what are we doing? Like, like I said before, all the defensive attributes that we put, all the assets we sank in the defensive line, Mario Addison, Ed Oliver, like Gregory Rousseau, like Trent Murphy when we signed. Like, you paid money to stop this. Like, stop this. That's what I want to see you do. I want to see you stop this.
I believe that they've loaded up on pass rushes, and Mookie can probably attest to this a little bit better than I can. By the way, thanks for the shout out, man. I heard you over there, man. You can't, you don't get credit for putting out your own the fires you ignited. I heard you. I'm gonna charge you for that, man. I'm definitely, man. But I appreciate the shout out, Mook. But yeah, you've loaded up on pass rushing, but I think the issue with the Buffalo Bills defense is in the middle of the defense. A lot of people were telling me that Star Lotulelei was supposed to be that the factor in the middle there to stop the run, and he just hasn't shown that he's that guy. And if you can't stop the run, it just opens up everything else. So I would imagine that New England, that they're going to go back to the well again and try to run the ball with Harrison and Stevenson. And it's just, you got to be ready for it. You definitely got to be ready. And offensively, you got to mix up a little bit of a run in there, and you've got to get Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox involved. You cannot put it solely on Stephon Diggs, because teams in the offseason have said we are not going to. Stephon Diggs was 1,500 plus yards last year. We're not going to let him kill us. And you've seen teams really trying to alleviate him from the game. What do you think, Mook?
I think Bills just ain't been playing aggressive. Now you saw them come right in with that same energy from the last half in Tampa. You know what I mean? They started sending pressure off the edge. The Bills got 4 sacks today. The Bills ain't even got that many sacks. I don't know how long, you know. And Monster Right, the Carolina boys did show up today. You know, and even Vernon Butler behind showed up today. Efe Obada with the 2 sacks. When the last time the Bills had one guy get multiple sacks? You know, so I mean, Star Lotulelei has it. I don't think he played in that first New England game, but you know, Star's not the problem. I mean, when you look at it, you know, the Bills drafted 2 defensive ends back to back. And here it is, the Bills still rank dead last when it comes to sacks. Now they do, you know, are amongst the league's best when it comes to hurries, but it's nothing like getting the quarterback on his back. They are like dead, you know, 25th. So that hasn't changed. And in their scheme, you know, the Bills rely a lot on 4-man pressure. You know what I mean? They got 7 in coverage. And, you know, when the 4-man is not getting their job done, it's a long day. And if you can't stop the run and you can't get a team off the field on 3rd down, something got to give. And, you know, what given is that Tampa Bay game forced the Bills to play, you know, something that they're not accustomed to doing, but they're pretty good at it when they do it. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't know. It was more or less of a confident thing, stepping out of your element, what you normally do. But this team is actually better when, you know, they're aggressive. You know what I mean? So if they stay consistent with it, they stay consistent with it, they'll be fine. But if they go back to playing passive, you know, the offense at times today played a little very conservative in the wrong time games, the situation of the game, and you know, but the defense held it down. They battled through a lot of things today. You know what I mean? The line, you know, you had to switch your rookie from right tackle to left tackle. So, you know, I'm quite sure that affected a lot of the game plan.
All right, Mookie, let me ask you this. Shout out to the Snowman. We love you, Dion. Hope you're feeling good, man. We love you. You know what I'm saying? You're a buddy of mine. I love you, Dion. You're a Snowman. But again, like, we had a chance to draft Landon Dickinson, Mookie. Like, our center. Like, he's one of the best centers in the league right now. We gave him on Wyatt Teller. Like, what about this Bills regime with Bean and that makes you feel confident in what they have? You know what I'm saying? Ed Oliver. You know what I mean? Mario Addison, Trent Murphy. We sent all these guys to get after the quarterback. And it just hasn't happened, buddy. It just, I get it. Like, that's the, you know what I'm saying? You go against Tampa Bay and Kansas City, and that's what you want. But they've spent so much money on a defensive line that just hasn't worked out. Like, I'm sorry. I love our defensive line. I love who we signed. They haven't worked out, and it's left our offense at this point in the season where we're bringing practice guys in to start, Mookie. Like, what are we doing, buddy?
Man, I mean, it's just say that, you know, they just made some mess ups. I mean, the Bills are still suffering from the fact that they should have kept Jordan Phillips and Shaq Lawson. If you'd have kept those 2 guys, the way that y'all keeping everybody else, the way that y'all keeping everybody else, you should have kept those 2. I mean, you know, here it is. Jordan Phillips was leading your team in sacks. You know, Shaq was emerging in your system. He was setting the edge in the run, and he was, you know, getting after the quarterback too. It was just another year. I think he would have blossomed in Coach Frazier's system, you know, and they just never gave that chance to develop. But here it is. You paid the same money for Mario Addison, Quentin Jefferson, Vernon Butler, you know, all those guys, even Star Lotulelei.
We could have kept Wyatt Teller.
Yeah, you know, yeah, you could have kept Wyatt Teller. But it's a lot of things that they did. They missed out on the draft. Like, you know, they could have had DK Metcalf. We chose Cody Ford. You know what I mean? So, you know, so it's a lot of things that really goes into that. And here it is right now. You know, you have Cody Ford, Zach Moss, AJ Espinoza, and who else am I missing? Boogie Basham at one point wasn't dressing. Wasn't on the field. You know, you had 3 second-round picks and a 3rd-round pick not suiting up. You know, and I think it's more. I think it more or less comes to a money scheme because you stuck in these contracts with these guys and they getting X amount of dollars and they gotta play. You know, so that kind of like ruined the best guy has to play per se type deal.
Meritocracy.
Yeah, you know, same thing with Trent Murphy, but you know, I guess it was okay for him to sit the bench for the $8 million instead of getting rid of him because he was a locker room guy. You know what I mean? So we got to start being a little bit more smarter, you know, about the locker room. The locker room is the locker room. So, you know, we're not keeping guys around for $6 million, $8 million because he's good in the locker room. You know, we need somebody to be good on the field and getting after the quarterback. The Bills have not been getting after the quarterback since Marcel, Jerry Hughes, Mario Williams, and Kyle Williams. Not been getting at the quarterback like that. You know what I mean? And that's been quite a while.
What do you feel, Mookie, about the way Trent played today? 5 penalties today. The way Trent went, 5 penalties. Like we depend on this guy. Like they're not chipping towards him. They're not blocking towards him. Like I watched they expect him to deal what he has to do, and he's not doing it. Like, what do you expect as far as Trent Murphy goes?
Trent Murphy? Who you talking about? Jerry Hughes?
No, the big country fed some bitch. Some 93.
Oh, Efe Obada.
No. Son of a bitch. What's his name?
93 is Efe Obada.
No, the big white, the big tackle guy.
Harrison Phillips.
No, not Harrison. I'm buddy with Harry.
Wait, hold on. Is this on defense or on offense?
Star Latula.
Offense. The guy who got 5 penalties today.
You talking about Spencer Brown? Spencer Brown.
Sorry, not Trent Brown. Spencer Brown. I'm sorry. That's my bad.
Listen, Spencer Brown needs Ritalin. He needs Josh Allen playlist. He need to listen to some damn Love Me Tenders and some Elvis or something. He just need to calm down. Love the energy. He gotta calm down. He out there drinking beers and stuff. There's some COVID going on. You know, they put you on the left side from the right side, so your mind got to be like completely locked in. Like, you know, he had some man. Thank God he fumbled. He picked up that snap because dude could have scooped and scored that, and that would have been changed the whole complexity of the ball game because he missed that block. He had some definitely blatant eyesores. I mean, missing not having Deion out there definitely showed. I can tell you that much. And as much as people don't want to, admit that, you know what I mean, it definitely stuck out.
Much love to the Snowman. We know how much you're fighting. Much love to the Snowman. We know how much he was down the first time he got COVID. So I sent Deion a message. Hope you're good. You know what I'm saying? Much love. Bills Mob is after you. It's watching this team. And like I said, Mookie, like even with the win today, Mook, I expected more. Like out of a championship caliber team, I expected more. Like I wanted to see more. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was more passing. I don't know if it was more rushing. I just expected as a fan to see more. Like if
you wanted to see more
team, I wanted more.
Wait, hold on. Let me ask this question. Actually, Mookie, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, you were saying something about championship, and I said this at the beginning of the season. A lot of Bills fans got mad at me. I got a lot of hate comments for this, but are the Bills playoff contenders or championship contenders? Because I've always made the argument that the Bills team was a playoff contender. They were a team that definitely could get to the playoffs. But when it comes to championship, I was always very hesitant to say that word when it came to the Buffalo Bills. So,
okay, all right. Well, let me stop you right there. What teams to you are championship caliber teams?
When it comes to championship, Green Bay Packers.
Give me 5. Okay, that's one.
Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Kansas City. And then that's probably it. Those are probably the only 3 I did at the beginning of the year. Was Kansas City, Tampa Bay, and then Green Bay.
And okay, why you choose those 3 teams?
Because when it comes to those teams, not only do they have a lot of depth on their roster, when it comes to Tampa Bay, they had depth. When it came to Kansas City, they did not have the most depth on offense. On defense, they did not have the most depth. But on offense, they did have a good amount that was able to get them wins. And then when it came to the Green Bay Packers, yes, they had the holes in multiple positions. But what Green Bay had was stability. When it came to Green Bay, they've had certain positions for really the last couple of decades that you know what you're getting from them. You know you're going to get X, Y, and Z out of those positions every single day. So Green Bay was stability, Tampa Bay was depth, and then when it came to Kansas City, it was that core. Kansas City just had that core group that you knew was going to get them to a championship. We've seen it back-to-back years.
Don't forget the coaching. Don't forget, the coaching out of those three teams. They got good coaching. They got good coaching on. They got good coaching on both sides. The Bills got good coaching on both sides, but it's just that we don't know, what we're going to get on the offensive side. That's the thing. That's the thing Monsters is frustrated about now is, we want to see more, right? We want to see more out of offense. And as bad as the Bills played on offense, they still scored 31 points. As bad as they played now, they still scored 31 points. With a makeshift line. You might as well say with a makeshift line. Let's point out what they had to go through. It's not like this is their starting roster from week 1 right now. Let's just look at what they had to go through. Your starting right guard got put on COVID list this morning. He got all the reps. So that throws your whole entire game plan. I'm quite sure it throws it, a little off as far as rhythm. But and that showed out there.
With the COVID and everything that's going on, you got to win the games you're supposed to win. Carolina, we were supposed to win. We won. Next week, we go into New England. We'll see what happens. All right? That's Belichick versus McDermott. Who's going to run the better scheme? That's all it is. All right? It's not talent. It's not whatever's going to happen. Is Belichick going to outcoach McDermott? That's what you got to work for next week. And then you got Atlanta, and then we should win the rest of the games out. If we win next week against New England, we should be fine. But again, if they run a game plan that's 95% run and we can't stop it, and we know that's what it is, that's on us. That's on us. Like I said, that's a disappointing season for us because a championship caliber team that knows the next opponent's going to run 95% of the plays and we can't stop it, that's on our coaching staff. That's on the talent you've devised. That's on the talent you've put on the field to stop this. So if we can't stop the run against New England, if that's their game plan, that's on us.
Yeah. Indy gave you the blueprint on how to do it. You got to the Belichick, you got to beat him at his own game. And that's what Indy was able to do. Beat Belichick at his own game and take away what they do best. Just do it right back in their face. And that's what the Bills got to do. You got to, shut down the run, and you got to make Mac Jones beat you with mediocre receivers. Why are we respecting them playing off and all of that when, they can just dink and dunk you down the field, run the ball, and, that's it. Why play like that? You got to play aggressive. And the defense are playing aggressive, but the offense is not really playing aggressive. It's at times where it's single safety high, cover 3 or manned up, and we're still not throwing to our star receivers. The offense is stalling. We just calling plays to call plays. I just saw stuff on film where, man, it's not looking good at all. The middle of the field is wide open. We're not exploiting that. We should be running digs on slants underneath coverage and everything.
What do you think calls that, Mookie?
Coaching.
Who do you think calls that? Is that McDermott's call or is that Brian Dable's call? Because I see the same things you see. Who do you think runs that call?
Dable's running the call. Dable's the offensive coordinator. You got to keep something in mind, Monster, when coaching. Like, understand that this is Coach McDermott's first crack ever at being a head coach. You know what I mean? So his coordinators, he's really trusting his coordinators to do what they're able to do. Even though he's a defensive guy, he still has to designate somebody that he's comfortable with, that he trusts to run what his vision is on defense that has the similarities and share the same philosophies. Offense, okay, I know this guy is capable. I got the nice pieces around quarterback. I'm going to let him rock. You know what I mean? Because, I tell you the difference, and I know for a fact. I know that it would have been a time at Coach Belichick. I didn't heard him veto calls in the middle of stuff. McDermott, he gives Dable full reign. and you know, they had the creativity and everything that's regarding the offense. Like, but you know, he steps in like halftime, like, yo, man, probably get on him and like, yo, run the damn football. You know, I need to run the ball. You know, and that's what you see him running the ball, that type of stuff. But McDermott really, it's all Dable when it comes to that offense. It's his design, it's his personnel, it's his play call. He's a shot caller.
The only thing that worries me about that is that McDermott letting Dable have that much power is it's at the end of the day, it's McDermott's job too.
Right, and that's what I think.
McDermott fails too. You know what I mean?
Right, and I think that's something that he's is learning to deal with now. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try to figure out how I can fillet that question on him. You know what I mean? Because I know how it is. You know what I mean? But I don't want to make it seem like, you know, he's displeasure. But I kind of feel that it might be some tension going on with that. You know what I mean? Just because, like, you got to run the football, man. You got to run the football. I mean, you just saw what Jonathan Taylor did to New England last night. You know what I mean? This man punch him right in the mouth. Let's go right back at them like they try to go back at everybody else.
Right, but a Singletary, that guy. Like I said, Singletary's not the Derrick Henry back, and he's not the speed back. Like Singletary's kind of, you're not really nothing, bud. Like you're not a speed back, you're not a power back.
You got to go back.
What are you?
You got he's a power back in between the tackles type. You got to go back to his rookie year. What made him good? Go back to those plays when he almost ran for 1,000 yards. You know, they switched the run style. They was a power run team. Remember, they had Frank Gore. They were a power run team. Josh was a game manager. Now, you know, he's this, you know, he's not a pure passer, but, you know, we play an offense that emulates that.
Do you think that at this point, Mookie, that if we don't build a dome, regardless whether it's in Orchard Park or whether it's in downtown Buffalo, my thoughts are the way the NFL is and the way our team is built, the weather that we have right now in Orchard Park, it hinders us. We're not built for run. We're not built for snow. We're built for pass. We're built for quick scores. Do you feel that it would be a beneficial point to us to build a stadium that has a dome? Or do you think that do you think that we benefit enough from the weather right now that we should leave it open air?
We need a dome where we can open it and cover it. That way, if we want the elements, we just have it open. What's so hard? Have it open. You know what I mean? And if we want to close it, we close. That's the true feeling of having home field advantage. I mean, hey, you don't know what's gonna happen. If we're gonna open the roof or we ain't gonna open the roof. But you know, you gotta have a dome for the fact that, you know, you want it to make money year round. You don't want it to make money just for football. It got to be more attractive than that. So you got to put a dome over it where it's retractable. That way we can have the best of both worlds, and you know, we can really have home field advantage. But we still can have events here late in the winter, whatever. It's an NFL draft, an NHL, whatever. You know what I mean? It could be had, you know, because we have the venue now.
I just feel with the way that things are right now, it benefits against us. You know what I mean? Like you just said, like we could have it. It's just I don't think they're gonna do it. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of money spent. Like we still don't know whether the new stadium's going downtown. We don't know if it's going to Orchard Park. Like it's a lot of people with a lot of money that we don't understand that are gonna make those decisions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know, we got a long way to go before that decision's even made anyway. Lease ain't even up on the building, so that's why it's around, but you know, ain't nothing really gonna happen no time soon about it. So right now, we just gotta focus up on what these boys gonna do this week. They control their own destiny. I don't want to hear about they, you know, ain't trying to be aggressive against New England Patriots. You know, y'all been aggressive all week and all that. Then we play the Patriots, and y'all not aggressive.
I just want the trophy. Just give me the trophy. I just want the trophy. Just give me the trophy.
Want to get in? You want to get in the playoffs? You want to get in the playoffs? You win this game. You know, you know, this is a must win. I don't want to hear nothing about no must win. It's not a must win. This is a true must win. You know, if you want to get in, this is your way in right here. This is your way in.
Right. There's
That's our
no,
man's coach.
oh, the ref screwed us or Diggs got held. No. Go out there and whoop that ass. Go out there and prove that you can get it. Go out there and just earn it. Just give us the spot that we want. We've wanted a championship for so many years, and we haven't got it yet. Just go out there and earn the spot. Put us in a position, Mookie, where we can earn the championship and just let the dogs run where they lie. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Absolutely. Got to pin those ears back, man, and keep staying aggressive. You know, like I said, I think they play better that way now. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to understand what type of team you have, even though you run a certain type of scheme. You know what I mean? It just happens that way sometimes. It just falls into it like, hey, I mean, these team is receptive enough to be a little bit more aggressive because they know the scheme. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we got to figure that one out, though, man. But
it's like Army and Navy. You just got to go for it. Army and Navy, you just got to go for it. You got to take the dub where the dub is there. And we've been Bills fans for so long, and we've waited, and Josh has come, and everybody's come, and we've been fed this, and Sean McDermott has come, and we've loved everybody, and we've just forgive everybody. But it's just, this is not the worst team that Josh is going to lead. We need to understand as a fan base that this is a big opportunity. We need to take care of it now. Like, we need to take care of it now. It's not 2 years down the line. It's not 3 years down the line. Like, we have a shot now. That's who we're paying. Let's go after it.
Well, we're going to see this Sunday. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure, my guy. So, with that being said, my G, I'm going to roll out. My man Rocco, he didn't pop back in.
I will say that the NFL
Mafia, Ric Flair, Mookie Hawkins in the building. We all love Mookie. We love Mookie. Mookie bringing us the best stuff. All right, you can watch whatever you want to watch, but you want to watch good stuff. You watch Mookie ask what he asks. That's what the fans want to know, and that's what Mookie is, and that's why we love him.
Appreciate that much. Appreciate that.
Mookie,
I'll be back on. I'll be back on in a minute. Look at this. New Orleans is up. Look at this. New Orleans is beating Tampa Bay right now. Vegas is laughing. Yeah, y'all boys still on. I'll jump back in.
Love you, dog.
So let me ask this: with the NFL playoff picture, the way it
So
is
Monster.
right now, New England and Buffalo will face off in the wild card game. So that's just
Pretty good show, right? Oh, Rocco, go ahead and talk. I'm sorry I cut you off.
Hey, it's all good, man. I was just talking about New England, Buffalo. They'd be projected to face off against each other in the wild card round. But New England's the 2 seed, Buffalo's the 7th seed. Now, there's like a 99% chance this is not going to hold up, considering what happens next week. But I just want to know if that matchup did happen, how great of a game would it be? AFC wild card, New England, Buffalo, pretty much a trilogy on here.
By the way, this is the only show, by the way, you gonna know where somebody doing podcasts while driving. At the same time, going mobile, running this podcast, running this show. Monster over here with the ones and twos with the monster questions.
All right, baby. You want to know what's up, Rico?
What you say, Ringo?
It's simple. Put a game plan together to stop them from what they did the first time. Okay, if you run the ball against the Bills, the second time you meet them, 47 times, and you win, we don't deserve to win that game. You know what the game plan is coming in. All right? You know what the game plan. If you knock on my front door, and I know if I answer that front door, you're gonna swing, I'm gonna be ready to swing back. That's what the Bills gotta do. You gotta be able to understand that Belichick is gonna exploit the run game that he did the first time that you won, and then he's going to try to do it again. So you need to be able and stable with the fellows you have to stop that. And like I said, the Bills have spent a shitload of money on the defensive line. Boogie Basham, we spent Greg Rousseau, Ed Oliver's still there. We got Harrison Phillips. We got everybody that's still there. Get out there, get after the quarterback, and just make that a difference in that game.
Yeah, I think what Buffalo really needs to do is stop being a counterpunching team. Because there's been like 1 or 2 games this year where they've been, defense first, and then they got to start coming back at them. No, when the Buffalo Bills going up against New England, what they need to do next week is the Buffalo Bills need to punch him in the mouth. I mean, they need to do what Mike Tyson always told you. Everybody has a game plan until you punch him in the face. So I think that's what the Buffalo Bills need to do next week. They need to go against New England. They need to beat him and punch him in the face, beat him in the mouth, and give him a couple body shots. Give him a couple body shots, maybe a couple of shots of the spleen. I mean, you see Monstar over there, right there. He's kind of giving you what the routine's got to be. But with Buffalo, they need to not be a counterpunching team against New England. I will say this, and you will agree with me on this. If Buffalo is a counterpunching team in the first half, they will lose.
I agree with them because McDermott needs to be aggressive. Like, stop playing to what the other teams are and do what your team needs to do. We have the talent. We have the strength. Don't worry about what they're doing.
It's what they need to do. It's what Buffalo really needs to do. And hey, Sharon, sorry about that. I was a little more violent than I normally am, but you get the point.
Get the violence out, Rocco. Let's go. Get violent. We don't worry about that. It's Bills Mafia. Let's go.
I do agree on Sean McDermott, by the way. I understand that Dabble is the offensive coordinator. I know that's where the plays are coming from. But if you're Sean McDermott, if you know that Dabo is making a bad play, cut him off. Say, hey, no, that's not the right play. This is the right play. You come here. This is the right play. Now get under center. That's what he's got to do.
It's offensive coordinator to head coach. Like you said, you got to understand, hey, I'm the head coach. My offense isn't working. Let's change the stuff up a little bit. Just like if he went to Leslie Frazier and said, listen, this isn't working. This is what we got to do. Again, that's what I'm saying. Everybody else crying for Brian Dable's head. Sean McDermott is the guy who he runs it. Sean McDermott is the guy who approves it. So when Brian Dable goes to him with the game plan and says, listen, this is what I have to do, it's up to McDermott to say okay or nay. So when they're in the middle of a game, they're fighting for their lives, they're fighting for their balls, it's up to Dable to go to McDermott and say, listen, this is what I want to run. So if McDermott says no, Brian Dable doesn't have that freedom. I'm not saying it's Dable, and I'm not saying it's McDermott, but I'm saying it's one of them. Okay? Either Dable's ideas are shit and McDermott says no, or Sean McDermott is taking over and Brian Dable just has to do what he's told. That's what we have to realize. What is happening with our offense and who is actually in charge of what goes on and how we score.
Now, Tom Casey, he said something in the chat, and I really want to talk about this real quick. McDermott is a buffoon. Dabo is not the problem. Well, here's what's going to happen in Buffalo. If they get eliminated in the AFC wildcard round, if by any chance they miss the playoffs, and once again, there's 6 teams that are 8-6 right now. When it comes to this AFC, this very stacked AFC, one of them has to go. It's either McDermott or it's Dabo. One of them is going to go if they fail early in the playoffs. Because, Monstar, you said it perfectly, and I'll repeat you because I couldn't say it any better. Buffalo has been waiting for a winner. Buffalo wants to win a championship. They want to win a Super Bowl. That's what Buffalo wants. And if they lose in the AFC wildcard round, if they miss the playoffs, somebody has to go. So it's either going to be McDermott or it's going to be Dabo. It's going to be one of the two. They're not keeping both.
No, absolutely. And I wouldn't keep both either. It's been year after year of the same shit. And it's like, how long do you expect fans of myself and just 20 plus years, we know what's going on. We're not stupid. We've seen it. The draft and bullshit free agent signings. Like, we've seen it. Like, we're not stupid to it. Like, Bills Mafia knows what's going on. Like, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to mask, what you're trying to bring forward. Like, we get it. Like, the fact that Emmanuel Sanders went out and Gabe Davis stepped up was fantastic. It's fantastic. But again, you got to go back to the roots and be like, we need other elements to make this team work. We need other elements to make this team work. Josh running is not going to make this team work. Josh running it's analytics. He's going to eventually get hurt running the way he's running. You can't do that. Figure something else out to protect the $250 million athlete that's running our team.
Okay, so his development of Josh Allen will get him a job. Okay, well, let me answer this with one question of my own. Tom Casey, you're saying that Dabo could get a head coaching job. There's plenty of teams that would have him be a head coach in the NFL. Is that because he's a Bill Belichick disciple? Is that because he was an offensive coordinator at Alabama with Nick Saban? He has so much prestige and so much pedigree. He's a 5-time Super Bowl champion. Like, is that the reason why he'll get a head coaching job? Because understand this, and this is no dig at New England Patriots fans. I swear it's not. When it comes to Bill Belichick, I can think of maybe only 2 coaches that have actually been good that have come out of his system. One is Nick Saban, and the other one is Mike Vrabel. That's really been the only 2 I can think of that has actually been good that has come from the Bill Belichick era. No one who has been an assistant coach that has been elevated to a head coach has been able to be good at the next level. So him being a 5-time Super Bowl champion is great. Him being a 1-time college football playoff champion, fantastic. But he's never been a head coach in his entire career. Dating back to 2000 when he started being an NFL assistant coach, he has never been a head coach in his near 20-plus career.
Right, and you got to look at that. Like, that holds merit. Like, that holds bearing. Like, you got to understand that that's what it is. Like, it just, you look at down the line of all this shit, and it just, it's funny. Like, you watch football as long as I've watched football. And I've watched the Kurt Warners and the Greatest Show on Turf. And it's just, football evolves every 10 years. Passing, running. Yeah, it evolves. It evolves. There's people that you have that are great one year that are just, they disappear the next year. Like passing, running. It's just, the league evolves. And you said it yourself. Like, you look at these people and you look at these teams and how far it's been dragged out. And it's just, it's insane. Like, I've been 30 years since the Bills have won they've never won a Super Bowl. Like, I'm 30 plus years invested in the Bills. And it's like, I could scream, I could yell, it doesn't matter what I do. It's what they do on the field. It's what the front office, the front office chooses to do. Is it defense? Is it offense? And like I said, they went after a pass rush for the last 2 years so hard that the offensive line has struggled because they don't have the resources to give to the offensive line because they're trying to sack the damn quarterback so much.
Once again, making a lot of good points there. We're talking about the Buffalo Bills. And, well, you brought up Joe Judge because in the chat they said that's how Joe Judge got his job. But once again, Joe Judge hadn't been an assistant coach for 20-plus years. But that's the point I'm trying to get to is that, he's been an assistant coach for nearly 2 decades. Joe Judge joined the Patriots in the early 2010s. So he'd only been there for maybe a decade at the most. So when it comes to assistant coaches, unless you are a guru, unless you're an encyclopedia, unless you're someone who knows absolutely everything about the game, you normally are an assistant coach for maybe less than a decade, and then you get a head coaching job. We've seen it with Sean McVay. We've seen it with Zach Taylor. We're seeing it with Brandon Staley. When it comes to assistant coaches now, they're getting younger and younger and younger, and then when they get promoted to head coach, it's even getting younger and younger now. So I think that's really a trend you're noticing with the NFL, and you're going to really be seeing it for the next 5 or 10 years. The head coaches are going to get younger and younger now. You're not going to see, guys in their 60s and 70s coaching in the NFL under a first-year gig. You're not really going to see that anymore.
And you know what's crazy about that, Rocco, is that you're absolutely right. Like, think about it. For a GM in the NFL, there's 32 jobs in the world. That's it. In the whole world of a men's there's 32 jobs in the world. Like, if you're one of those 32 people that get that job, you should know what you're doing. You should know what you're doing. It's a very rare job in the NFL to know and just to become a GM. And like I said, it's just it's I could be a GM tomorrow, and Rocco, you could be too. But you know what? We could miss on the first 10 picks we ever picked because that's not our business. We don't know it. I'm not at the combines. I'm not at, you know what I'm saying? I'm not at training days. I don't know anything. I'm just an asshole fan that just talks about what he sees on the field every Sunday. Like, I do as much analytics as I can behind the scenes. I dive in to like to who these people are, where they've come from, the pedigree they have. It's just you simply don't know. It's like being a new kid at a school the first day and you got to pick a dodgeball team and gym. I don't know any of these kids. Okay, this kid can catch. The big kid can throw. Like, you just don't know. And that's what I think a lot of these GMs run into. It's talent evaluation. That's the most important thing in the NFL. Can you see greatness at your job, or do you just brick it?
Hey, Tom Casey, I like your confidence, but I'm going to disagree that Brian Dabo is going to be a coach either at college or NFL. So I will disagree with you on that, but I like your confidence. If the Bills miss the playoffs, is McDermott on the hot seat? 100%. I don't think he's going to get fired yet, but I think his hot seat would get a little bit warmer.
And it has to be. Like I said, Bills Mafia is in love with Dable. We're in love with Sean McDermott. We're in love with Brandon Beane. But at what point in the process do we start to pick it apart? What part, like I said, do we start to look at, okay, you guys spent a shitload of money to chase the quarterback and didn't invest in the offensive line, and it's kind of not working. Like, what point do you sit back as a fan and say, I don't know as much as you, but I know that what you're doing isn't working? Like, how long before the honeymoon is over with Beane and McDermott that we say, okay, great, you got us back to where we have to be, but now we need to go to the next platform. We need to move forward and go to the next level. It is Beane and McDermott, the people that are going to get us to those levels. That's what pisses me off, and that's what worries me at night, Rico.
Well, you know and I know the honeymoon phase normally lasts about 2 years. Like, normally there's a 2-year span where everyone's like, oh, man, I love this team. It's great. It's awesome. And then the moment it hits year 3 is when the train just goes off the rails and everyone hates each other. Like, I've noticed that in basketball, baseball, football, hockey, any sport, you name it. If the first 2 years is amazing, it's wonderful, it's awesome. Then year 3 hits and everyone just wants to kill each other.
Yeah, it's like I'm watching it now, and it's like, at what point does McDermott start to lose this locker room? At what point does McDermott's message not become like they don't give a shit? Like, I'm not in the locker room. I don't know the locker room. But it's just, I said it before, like, there's so many press conferences that are just, oh, we should have played better. We should have did better. Well, why didn't you? Like, I don't want to hear that you should have played better. Answer me why you didn't play better. Answer me why you didn't make this play. Like, answer me, like, I'm so sorry and so tired of hearing after the last 20 years, oh, well, we should have did this. Well, we weren't aggressive enough. Well, no, that's not the point. Like, we're at the point now where I want answers for these things. Well, we didn't play aggressive enough. Well, why didn't you? Oh, well, we didn't play offense good enough. Well, why didn't you? Like, I want these answers on the table. Like, I want officials for the NFL, with how ridiculous the officiating has been. I want the officials to be on the podium. I want the NFL people to say, hey, will you break this call? Why didn't you make this call? I want them to say, oh, well, we see Stephon Diggs get held and dragged down. Why didn't you make that call? What did you see? Why are not the NFL officiators be held? You know what I'm saying? Like, why aren't you in a press conference answering these questions the same way the players have?
Well, I'll answer one last question because I actually got to go after this. But the one last question I will answer is, what is the issue? Well, to me, the biggest issue is the red zone. I mean, you really got to be more efficient when you're in the red zone. When you have the opportunity, you can't just kick field goals. You can't just do turnovers. you got to score. You have to put enough touchdowns on the board to beat the other team. I've noticed with Buffalo, the 2 games I've been able to watch them because I'm here on the West Coast, so I don't really get to watch the Bills that often. But I got to watch the game today, Bills, Panthers. And to me, when it comes to the red zone, the Buffalo Bills need to be more efficient at scoring.
You know what my main thing is too, buddy? And I said it before, and you can go back 2 years before this, and you'll hear me saying it on a podcast. Tremaine Edmonds isn't a middle linebacker. His instincts are shit. Like, you can't put Tremaine Edmonds at middle. Put him at outside, okay? Put Matt Milano on one side, put Tremaine on the other side, and find somebody in the middle that can read the play. We saw that. That's how we lost against Tampa. Tremaine Edmonds read that play wrong. He's not that guy. He's a really good player, but he's not our Mike. He's not our middle linebacker. You need somebody in the middle that understands football more than Tremaine Edmonds does. Put Edmonds over here. Mullane, you know what I mean? Put somebody in the middle that understands it and can display it more. And Tremaine Edmonds on the outside is a fucking Hall of Famer because the guy is fast. He can go sideline to sideline. He's just not our Mike in the middle. We need somebody in the middle that understands the offenses more and can display it to them. That's what my problem is with Tremaine Edmonds.
Well, there you go. There's definitely Monster. My name is Rocco Kelly. I host a show called The Sports Angle. It's live weekdays, Monday to Friday. It's on at 7 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Mountain, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. And this was a really good show, but I got to bounce, so see ya.
Follow Rocco. Make sure you log into Rocco. Good night, Bills Mafia. We love you guys. Have a good night.